Hello and welcome to another Game Nexus arcade video. Today we're going to be taking a look at R-Tuned, which was released in 2008 and 2009 on the Sega Lindbergh arcade hardware. And you can see right now we're in the test mode. There's nothing too exciting here. Like if we check our game assignments, there's basic stuff like difficulty. I had this set to miles per hour because it was defaultly set to kilometers per hour. And then, of course, if you're doing what I'm doing here, setting up your steering adjustments really helps. But let me just show you quickly what we have here. So I have the Lindbergh Yellow with the multi-kit, and there's the PC power supply I use to power it. And, of course, I am using... This is a steering wheel that I had bought recently, the Logitech Momo Red. This is the multi-kit that actually supports this steering wheel, and it works with it. This one I actually had to fix because I'll put the image on the screen right now. There was the center axle part was all just broken. I'll show the image of the broken axle part. And then I 3D printed a new one. I'll put the image of the model of that. And then I put it in here, and now it works. But that's enough talking about that. Let's just quickly get into the game, and I'm going to show you a few races in Sega's R-Tuned, which is one of those many games that never made it home, so we just have to get out of the test mode. And then eventually Lindbergh will do a bunch of things. And the nice thing about this multi-kit is I can use this racing wheel or an Xbox 360 controller for the button configured games, and then we just exit out of Lindbergh's test mode, and then you can see it says Lindbergh on the screen. And after that we should get R-Tuned coming up after this like chainmail looking screen. That's what I always think it looks like. It looks kind of like a chainmail. And then finally, you'll see the R-Tuned system is coming up, and we will go ahead and get right into this and take a look at some R-Tuned. Oh, okay, so it says presented by Sega, and this is AM2 who actually does this game. And that's one thing you'll notice right away when you get into this game. The music is very loud. It's kind of like some of that like really loud, really bassy music. And the cars can be customized a lot. I only did it a little bit in this gameplay because I only used what was actually in the game. There actually is like a whole card system like was in many of the initial D games. So there actually is a lot more that the cars could basically do. That maybe in another video I might like explore that, because I can use the card simulation system, if you will, that I used with some of the initial D games, and therefore I'd be able to like actually quote-unquote R-tune my car, if you will. But when I was initially recording some footage with the Lindbergh here, I had tried to make some gameplay of Outrun 2, but no matter how I did on that, I never really got that far. So R-Tuned I was able to get some gameplay of, and that's what we're seeing right now. But I'm thinking this has like a widescreen patch on it, because especially when like I hit the boost, you'll notice that only the middle of the screen kind of lights up, and the rest of the screen's kind of just how do I want to say it, kind of just yeah, you'll see it just like lit up kind of blue, but the rest of the screen is not. So I think somebody put a widescreen hack on this to make it work with widescreen TVs, but yeah, I don't mind that much. So now as far as R-Tuned here goes, it had a North American release in the arcades on October 23rd of 2008, and it was released in Europe on April 17th of 2009. And of course, it was only released in the arcades on the Sega Lindbergh system here. So, if you didn't have any of these in your local arcade, you probably would have never seen this game. And the only way I can really describe this game is it's absolutely crazy. You have to keep on boosting, you have to keep on going as fast as you possibly can in order to win the race. But the only other thing I will like easily say right now is your biggest competitor in this game is not your opponents, but the actual timer. I've had several times I was actually first place in a race, and I actually ended up losing the race because I ran out of time. And I was like thinking, how can I be first place in a race, beating all the opponents, and still run out of time? But I guess it's just how you hit the corners and everything. So basically, I was able to finish 4 races, and that's what you're going to see here. 4 races in 4 different venues, and it just kind of give you an idea of what this looks like. A lot of this kind of reminds me of like some of the games like Midnight Club, or maybe to a lesser extent Initial D. But I definitely have to say, as far as graphics go, this game looks amazing on the Lindbergh. And now on Wikipedia here, it says, R-Tuned Ultimate Street Racing is an arcade racing game developed by Sega AM2, so it's the same guys who did Virtual Fighter. And they mentioned the dates that I just mentioned. The game focuses on the import scene and illegal street racing. The game runs on the Sega Lindbergh platform and uses the Virtual Fighter 5 engine, which is actually pretty cool. And that one I just happened to get first. I think that's the first race I ever finished in this game. So, and I was like, not only happy that I finished a race, but I got first. And I think the other racers in this game are actually pretty cool. They're like really, they have like their own characters and attitude, and I think that adds a bit of an element to this game. And now into the second race we're going to look at here, and you'll see the, I'm pretty sure I picked out a different car for all of the races, but you never know. There might be 2 where I like duplicated it, but this is going to be the second race. And I was going to say, I don't remember what courses I picked, but I know I picked like the A or B courses of 4 of the different places, and everything turned out pretty good. And there's the battle and time attack, but I figured the battle would be more exciting because you get to see me racing other characters in the game. And what was cool is those tips that showed during the loading screens. Now, the loading isn't too bad in this. I have the game running off of like a 120 gigabyte SSD that I have the multi-kit installed on, because I figured less loading and, how do I want to say, no moving parts. And I thought that guy was so cool, the guy with the ski mask. He's like a criminal. I just thought that was cool. I don't know if you'll see her here, but there's like this like girl in a maid costume, and she's always saying, "Oh, that was so fun," and stuff like that. It's funny. But as I was saying, or as I'd mentioned before, as I was saying here, players can save their progress and records using IC cards, which are similar to what Initial D uses. And one of these days, I will make some Initial D videos using the card simulator, because basically what it is it's a program that runs on either a computer or your Raspberry Pi or something, and it runs on Python, and it basically makes the arcade system think the card reader is there, and the actual like quote-unquote card you use is just a file that's on the computer, and that lets the game actually just use all the data card functionality. And I've actually run that in a few of my games, and it's really cool because you are able to like get all the upgrades. Like in Initial D, you get like some better upgrades as you go further. And if you've ever played Initial D and you've not been able to like do the later races, you kind of need to like grind a bit and get your car a bit better. And I'd imagine in this game, although from what I understand, this version has like all of the stuff unlocked, because if you saw the attract mode, it said like all the cars are available. So I'm guessing like this is like a hacked version where they just have everything enabled by default. And I definitely have to say, I know I've said it before, but this is like one of the most chaotic racing games I've ever played in my life. It's honestly pure chaos. And now the 4 areas that you can play in R-Tuned are New York, Hong Kong, Shibuya, and Shinjuku, which are all like different big cities in the world. In the United States, China, and Japan. And now this game features a lot of actually licensed cars. So like, for instance, it's showing playable cars here as Chevrolet Corvette, Ford Mustang, Honda Integra, Honda NSX, Honda S2000, Mazda RX-7, Mazda RX-8, Mazda Savannah RX-7, Mitsubishi Eclipse, Mitsubishi Lancer, I'm guessing that's 9, it says IX, but there's the second race there. And if you look at the game, you'll notice a couple of those cars I end up using. I basically just mixed up a bunch of stuff in the game. I didn't really like know what I was really selecting. And I don't know if I actually include it, but I found that like enter your name thing to be really hard, because to move it back and forth you use the steering wheel. And then I think the shifter moved it up and down, so it was like the weirdest, most convoluted enter your name thing I've ever done in my life. And I only sort of kind of got it to work one time I did, and I might have included that footage in this gameplay, so I'm not sure if you'll see that or not. But as I was saying, the other cars included are the Nissan Fairlady Z, both the Z32 and Z33 versions, the Nissan Skyline GTR R32 and R34, Pontiac GTO, Subaru Impreza, Subaru Legacy, Toyota Celica ST202, and ZZT231. There's that guy, he's like the boss or something. I think in the other race someone was saying they had his car. And then the last one is the Toyota Supra. It's saying here that the Ford GT, Dodge Viper, 1967 Ford Mustang, and Chevrolet Corvette C3, and the Nissan GTR are all included in the game, but they're not playable, so I'm guessing they're just like cars that characters in the game have, but you have no way of playing them. And from what I've seen, this game actually was available in either a single cabinet, which I've seen some arcades that have a single racing cabinet, and you know, you can only play alone, or of course either a dual cabinet, or I've seen them 4 players, which will be 4 cabinets together. And that's one thing I thought was cool in one of the initial D games I one time played. You could have like these like really like big battles if you had 4 players playing all at once. And it was called like the Cross Battle. I think that was initial D7 when I was at Anime Next in 2016. And I thought that was pretty cool that it had this whole thing where 4 people play in it, like you saw the big X go on the screen and then all 4 players joined in. And that's really cool when like an actual arcade has a lot of these games linked and like everybody can play them together. And that's actually another thing. If you have a bunch of Lindberghs with multi-kits like this, you actually can link them together, which is pretty cool. And get that whole multiplayer card game experience, if you will. But Unfortunately, as far as like arcades and stuff go, that's kind of harder and harder to find. And I know it's kind of cool that you can like run a lot of these games on I don't call them emulators because they really don't emulate the games, but I call them like simulators because something like Technoparrot is not technically emulating Sega Lindbergh. It's just basically telling the game that it's running on its target hardware, and it's more or less running on your computer like a PC game, because all it really has to do is say, okay, the Lindbergh is here, it's got this spec, this is what you're running on. Whereas your computer's like, oh, I'm running a game on a program, and therefore it works. So unlike something like a PlayStation emulator that's legitimately running the whole game on your computer system and emulating not only the hardware and the software, something like Technoparrot's just basically emulating the hardware and running the software as if it were a normal computer program. But since I have the Lindbergh with the multi-kit, I just run it on the real hardware, and personally for me, I just think it feels a bit more real to run these games on the real hardware and kind of see their, well, just about their real performance. There's no way to really know if what I'm seeing here is the real thing, but like for instance, I've never actually been to an arcade that had R-tuned, so I really couldn't say for sure this is how the game should run and this is how everything should be, but I'd imagine it's probably like a close enough facsimile or similar experience as you would have if you're playing this in the arcade. And I don't know if I said it already earlier, but this is a very good looking game and it plays really well, and it's kind of one of those games. This is not for like the hardcore racing simulation fan, because the physics are all over the place, so this doesn't feel like racing a real car. So if that's what you're expecting, don't play this game. Don't even bother, because this game is more arcadey feeling, and it's kind of one of those games that you should just play and have fun with. Don't really take it too seriously, because let's face it, this is just a fun game that's meant to be fun. And if you really raced like this in real life, I don't think you'd be racing too long, because cars kind of don't bounce off the walls like they do in this game in real life. I think this might be the race where I use the Nissan Skyline like I do in Initial D, because I figured I saw it there and I was like, why not try the Nissan Skyline that I raced in Initial D and see if it's like any good in this game, because you never know. As far as games go, Initial D is a bit more simulation, a little bit less arcadey than this. This is like, if you can say a game is very arcadey, this game would be like on the top of that list. And it's really cool to see like the characters taunting. You saw a little bit of that like Initial D. You'd see like Iggy or Chalk or somebody saying, oh, I can't let this guy win, I can't let him beat me. But yeah, definitely cool to see the different characters of the game if you can't be playing with like other people in your arcade, or playing this on your home and using either your Lindbergh or your Technoparrot PC setup. And it definitely, like, the cities look a bit realistic to me. I think they really got the look good, and that whole like neon night just kind of adds to the chaotic feeling when you're playing this game. But as I said, for anyone who likes like a really arcadey racing game, this game is really fun. Especially if you're playing it at an arcade and you can actually use the card readers, which, as I said, maybe if I do any other videos, I might add in the whole card reader thing. But for now, just kind of showcasing the game and kind of showing what it looks like. And playing with the Logitech Momo Red Racing Wheel there, the controls feel pretty tight. I just did it in an automatic transmission the whole time, but I know some of these games, people are like, oh, well, if you know how to do the manual, you'll really, like, race better. Because I know in Initial D, I need to actually use the shifter in that game because, how do I want to say it? I can play Initial D in automatic mode, but, it's just not as intuitive enough because you've got to make sure you shift at the right times. And in automatic transmission in Initial D, it tends to wait a bit too late and you don't go as fast as you should. So, especially being like a 1 versus 1 type battle game, it's better to actually shift a bit quicker, and you end up winning a lot more races. But in this game, I was able to win a few races, even with that automatic transmission, but something tells me if I used all the upgrade options and got to the later races, probably would need to like master that like manual shifting method. But yeah, definitely have to say, as it's like a game that's like fairly obscure and you really don't hear anybody talk about it, definitely give this game a shot, regardless of how you do it, either on like Techno Parrot, or if you have a Lindbergh with a multi-kit, or if you're lucky enough to have an arcade that actually just, you know, has this game. It's definitely worth a shot if you see an actual system that has R-tuned, which I may have in the past, but I honestly don't specifically remember. And I think this is the one time I show you how I actually did this, because as you can see, you use your steering wheel to move it back and forth, and use your shifter to move it up and down, and it's not exactly the most intuitive thing in the world. And I was thinking, I was going to try to put GM14 as my name, but didn't quite get there. And since it's not really all that intuitive, if you ask me, you see here, I almost get to the G, but I don't really get there. But it's not exactly the easiest way to enter your name. But as I said, give R-Tuned a shot. It's a really, really cool arcadey racing game, and it'll most certainly be a good time. Well, this has been another Game Nexus arcade video, and I shall see you later.
Game over.
Bye.